What's up, guys? This is Bryant Parr in the car, and today we're going to talk about the queen mother of all bad movies. I'm talking about the Mona Lisa of destruction, the Attila the Hun of awfulness. I am, of course, referring to Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, Episode 1. But in order to understand the present, we need to understand the past. A lot of the younger people today don't understand why we hate Star Wars Episode 1. Well, let's talk about Star Wars, the original trilogy. Way back when, in the 80s, there was this groundbreaking, absolutely magnificent movie called Star Wars: A New Hope. It had problem after problem after problem. There was so many things wrong with it in production that a lot of times they would have to invent new things they would have to invent new software in order to make this movie work. George Lucas started filming Star Wars Episode 1, Star Wars: A New Hope. And when it finally came out in theaters, it came out about 6 months later than it was supposed to, I believe. It was just awesome. It was just groundbreaking. It had groundbreaking effects. Everything was done perfect. It had an orchestra that was hired to play the Star Wars soundtrack that we all know and love today. It was just awesome. They didn't have much, they didn't have hardly any computer graphics back then, so they had to do everything manually. I'm talking about miniatures, I'm talking about puppets, and you know, just lots of stuff that was back in the good old days. And it was just awesome. And they made 2 more sequels after that, and it was the most beautiful thing that anyone had ever seen. And it was completely and totally new. It was a space opera, so it was similar to a couple other things that other people had tried. But for the most part, it was totally new. It had a new religion, the Jedi religion. It had new characters, it had new clothing. It was just awesome. I mean, it just blew everyone away. And it was originally called a children's movie. Well, George Lucas basically gave everyone the middle finger and said that he was going to do it his way and it was going to be great, and it was. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. And the original trilogy is now the greatest of the 6 now that we all know and love today. Just became a smash hit after the toys came out. The toys are what really gave it a lot of grit. And like I said, they made toys after toys, and now all those original toys are like super collectibles, and it was just great. And then this brand new thing called CGI came out. Now, I love CGI. It has brought us to more places and taken us on more adventures than we could have gone without it. But there is a limit. First and foremost, we're going to address the queen mother of all awful things, which was Jar Jar Binks. Oh my God. I hate Jar Jar Binks. It's terrible. Ugh. He's just gross. He's the color of puke. He, doesn't act well. He's just an awful character. He's got this weird, strange Jamaican accent. It's just weird. And it didn't work. They attempted to make Jar Jar the comic relief of Star Wars. Star Wars is magnificent by itself. We don't need comedy in it. Yes, there are a couple things that were funny, but we don't need a comic relief, especially when you shove it in our faces. You know, it's like trying to teach your son to quit smoking. Yeah, you could have him smoke like 30 packs of cigarettes, but when you smother someone with something like that, it doesn't get the point across. It's like if it was illegal to eat apple pie, and you wanted someone to quit eating apple pie, you would go out and buy 30 pies and make him eat it one after the other. That's not going to make him stop wanting to eat it. It's just going to make him not want to eat pie for a little bit, because he's already had enough of it. But when you cram comedy down our throats, especially bad comedy, it makes us hate the movie. And Jar Jar Binks was, like I said, he was the epitome of awfulness. The second thing, having to do with CGI. That's why a lot of the fans were really let down when The Phantom Menace came out. I believe it was in 1999. Because we'd been waiting for so long for this new, groundbreaking, movie to come out, and they were making a new one with all these new technologies, and it was so exciting, and it just sucked. It sucked so bad. The CGI was terrible, the story was terrible, the actors were terrible. The only reason why we like it as much as we do is that it was Star Wars. And that's really about it. Yeah, we saw a little bit of the background of Anakin Skywalker, but even then, the character wasn't that very well done. Now, let's talk about Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd was the little boy who played Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace. And if you've ever followed the news, you know that Jake Lloyd didn't really go down a terrific path after The Phantom Menace. And I really feel bad for the kid. I don't blame him. I really feel bad for him, because it wasn't his fault. Actors, especially child actors, a lot of times their bad acting is stemmed from bad directing. If someone tells you to behave in a certain way on screen, you're going to behave a certain way on screen. And a lot of times it wasn't necessarily his fault. He's a child actor. You're not going to get Leonardo DiCaprio or Johnny Depp or people like that. You're not going to get Samuel L. Jackson. Of course, you did get Samuel L. Jackson. Yes. But like I said, I don't think it was his fault necessarily. A couple things happened in his life that's not my business. I don't care. But for the sake of this YouTube channel, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Jake Lloyd got into a lot of trouble. There was an assault charge. Well, there wasn't an assault charge, but there was an assault arrest. He got in this high-speed police chase, ran down the highway at like 110 miles an hour or whatever. Just terrible stuff. And his life had really gone down the drain after The Phantom Menace. I don't blame him. Lots of people's lives went down the drain after The Phantom Menace. But like I said, George Lucas just went ape shit over this new CGI. And that's what really bombed the movie. We wanted to see puppets and we wanted to see miniatures, and we didn't get puppets and miniatures. We got bad actors and bad CGI, and that's what really tanked it. And then they went on to drag the shit through 2 more movies. Guys, stop. Just stop. When we tell you that something is awful and we tell you that we don't like something, don't continue to give it to us. It's not like medicine that's tasting terrible, okay? Medicine eventually makes you better no matter how bad it tastes. Bad CGI is not medicine. It's going to be awful. It's going to just be terrible tasting, and it's not good for anybody. You know, a couple things, you know, it's good for a couple things. Like I said, CGI has really just created beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. And we saw a lot of beautiful landscapes in the Phantom Menace that we wouldn't have normally seen. They definitely wouldn't have been able to film the underwater scene with the Gungans, which I thought was really interesting. I didn't particularly care for Jar Jar Binks, but I do like the Gungans. I do like this idea of this aquatic people in these huge underwater cities. It was just pretty cool how they did that. The big bubble force field holding back those millions of tons of water, definitely really cool. But like I said, CGI has done a lot of really good stuff, but it's done an equal amount of bad stuff. And that's what killed the first movie. The second two movies was just like not getting the picture from the fans. The fans will tell you how to make a movie. You don't need to know shit about making a movie. The fans will tell you if it's good or bad. The fans will tell you what they want to see. The fans will tell you how they want to see it. And a lot of times they'll all be singing in unison, especially when it comes to Star Wars. Star Wars fans a lot of times are very like-minded. They'll all tell you basically the same thing. But they drug us through 2 more movies, and of course we went and saw them because it's Star Wars. You kind of have to. But you got Hayden Christensen, and he wasn't a fantastic actor. He whined a lot, it's my problem. That's what he did. It was just like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. Just did a lot of crying, did a lot of really just corny acting. And I'm not gonna say I could do better, because I couldn't. But I've seen better. I've seen a lot better out of a lot less. And but one of the couple of things I have to praise about the prequels is they did a lot of really good things. When Anakin Skywalker slowly made the transition into Darth Vader, before he got into his robot suit and got all of his limbs cut off, they did a great job making him look, you know, angry and truly turned to the dark side. Like I said, they just did a pretty good job of doing all that. And I have to turn around. They just did a great job with the eyeliner. The effects people and the costume people did a great job. I think they even changed his clothing. His clothing was like really dark brown. Just to symbolize the hatred and the darkness inside of him that was slowly consuming him. Like I said, did a great job on the costumes and everything else. The acting wasn't all that great, but man, did it look cool. If you watch the second half of episode 3 with the volume off, it looks really cool. You can't deny it. It looks really cool. It did a lot of great stuff. And Ewan McGregor, let's talk about him. Ewan McGregor, oh my gosh, I love Ewan McGregor. Did a great job as Obi-Wan. He did a lot of a couple other ones that were, he was in, I think it was The Big Fish, or just Big Fish. Did a good job there. I'm trying to remember a couple other movies he was in. He's been in quite a number of them. But anyway, he was most notably in the first 3 episodes of Star Wars. You could definitely feel the character. You could definitely feel that he truly did care for Anakin, and he truly did consider him to be a brother. Which made it all the more serious when Anakin turned to the dark side. Because, you know, after a certain amount of bonding, betrayal is a huge thing. And it's just... Like I said, if you watch it, you can truly feel that Ewan McGregor is really feeling what he's saying. It's almost like he's actually there in the Star Wars universe. But like I said, those are the primary reasons why we hate Star Wars. Too much CGI. It was a huge letdown, especially to the fans. Yes, it was a lot of backstory, but did we really need all that drama? I mean, in every movie where there's one plot going on, and then all of a sudden there's drama thrown in there out of nowhere, you can just hear everyone in the audience go, ugh, darn it. You know, it was like Alvin and the Chipmunks, where, I forget the guy's name. I even forget the character he was playing. The human that's taking care of the chipmunks in Alvin and the Chipmunks. Dave. There we go, Dave. His character, they were going about and he wasn't doing a bad job in the beginning, and then this girl shows up and she's like, yeah, remember when we dated and you couldn't keep a steady relationship? Come on! Let's just keep this about Alvin and the Chipmunks. I mean, come on. Seriously? And that's what a lot of times drama gets thrown in. It can really just... It's like throwing water on a blanket when you're really comfortable. It just ruins the whole feel of it. It's just not good. It doesn't always bring out the best in the characters. It doesn't really reveal a lot of backstory. It just makes everyone groan, because it's just so unpleasant to talk about. But like I said, that's pretty much why we all hate the first 3 episodes of Star Wars. Bad CGI, bad acting, drama. The only reason why we consider it Star Wars is because it says Star Wars on the package. And that's not all of it, but that's all I can really talk about for right now. This has been Bryant Parr in the car. Have a good one.